up, guys? Welcome to the DualShockers ShockCast, episode 182. I'm your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by the returning Ryan Meitzler.
So when does Dragon Age 4 come out?
It's going to come out 3 years from now, I guess. We got Mr. George Jimenez. You're very happy today, as that picture says.
I'm going to do it like this for the rest of my life.
That works. And joining us tonight, Miss Hannah Laura.
Hello.
All right, guys, let's get this party started.
Clever.
Yeah, I was like, insert something clever. Somebody, Ryan, add something in post. Ryan Meitzler.
So when does Dragon Age 4 come out? Wait.
About 3 years from now.
Who's playing the tape in the background?
Wait, who's playing it in the background?
Oh, man.
Completely unprofessional, guys. Just throwing it out there. Nonsense.
I can see you're really upset.
I expect better from all of you.
Yeah, well, this is how we do things.
I heard my spell speaking again, and I was like, wait, but I'm not talking right now. How is this like?
What is happening here?
Stuff.
All right, I guess I'll do the new game releases since I didn't pick anybody to do these things.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Okay, so from the week of July 6th to July 13th, we got Contraption Maker for the PC, Long Night Episode 1 Alone Break, whatever, I don't know, for the PC, Mousecraft for the PS4, PS3, PS Vita, One Piece Unlimited World Red for the Wii U, PS3, 3DS, PS3, Vita, almost everything. No 360s, I noticed. Okay, Another World for the PS4, PS3, PS Vita, Sacred Terra or Sacra Terra, Kiss of Death, PS3, Tour de France 2014 for the PS3, Quest for Infamy for the PC, Light for the PC, Risen 3 Titan Lords for the PC, Shantae Risky's Revenge for the PC. And that's the week. Is there even a winner here?
I like Risen 3.
Half of those games.
I was gonna say, I'm reading this like I never heard of this shit.
I like Risen 3. The last one was a pirate game, so I was like, all right, let's see what this one does. They kind of go into different genres. The first one was just kind of like a typical action-adventure game in a jungle, and then the next one was like, you're going to be a pirate and have a crew, and that's an RPG. So this one's going to be more like medieval fantasy, I think. You're fighting big Titan god guys, so...
Yeah, something like that.
Otherwise, I feel this way about the other games. Just...
George comes with props tonight, man.
He does. Looks like it.
Ryan, what are you picking for this week, man?
When you said Long Night Episode 1, I got really excited because I thought you said the Long Dark Episode 1. I've been like, oh yeah, I'd play that, but unfortunately it's not the case. I don't know. There's not really anything doing it for me. Maybe Contraption Maker, because I like making contraptions, but otherwise that's about it.
Yeah, fair enough. Diana, what about you? Anything?
I honestly, my eyes glazed over. I didn't recognize any of that.
I was falling asleep as I was reading them. So I don't blame you. I'll just pick some. I'll pick One Piece, even though I hate anime games, but I like One Piece the anime, so whatever, that's the winner. And I also realized I actually read some of next week's games, which are only 2 of them. That's even worse. Like, really, this is the real summer drought here. There's nothing. And speaking about summer droughts, this is the perfect time to delve back into games that we've played before. Basically, this was inspired by the fact that I'm playing Metal Gear Peace Walker again, and just comparing it to Ground Zeroes, all the differences. I'm like,
love
love it.
Peace Walker.
Peace Walker is great. So yeah, it just made me think about.
Peace Walker.
There we go.
He's happy. He's happy.
Good.
George, as we talk, you should just draw a bunch of different faces that have different emotions on them. And
Well, I'm trying to think about like my typical emotions. I'm either really happy, really upset, or don't give a fuck. So I think I just those 3 states, and that's it. But,
yeah, there you go. Yeah, I guess the don't give a fuck one is just be the smile on the face won't be a smile, it'll just be a straight line. It won't be a frown or in either direction, you know. So yeah, and this goes back to what we talked about last week too, where George, we were talking about how when you were playing Final Fantasy 3, it's kind of like a little bit of a history lesson. So like, are there any games that you guys have been playing recently besides Final Fantasy and Peace Walker that made you think like, okay, this series has come a long way, or even if they're not recently, just maybe that you played within the last 5 years or so, where you replayed the game and you were like, hey, this holds up, or you were like, man, this ain't that good. Ryan, let's start with you.
Well, actually, since you were talking about Peace Walker, I actually last year played Metal Gear Solid 1 for the first time because I'd never played it before. Even though it wasn't a game that I'd played before, like I knew enough about it just from my friends, because especially my friends that are all like Metal Gear heads that love the series. Um, and I knew about the gameplay and all that kind of stuff. And playing it, like I thought it held up pretty surprisingly well. Even though like some of the things, like the controls are still kind of janky, but it's a PlayStation 1 game, so who knows. So that was one. I think the other one I could think of is actually, I think I played it like a year or two ago again, was Resident Evil 4, which is one that still holds up really, really well. Even though I've played that game probably like 4 or 5 times now, and it's still, every time I play it, it still holds up really well.
Resident Evil 4 was the game that made like survival horror, and it's like, we could make this a little actiony and people would still enjoy it, right? And they tried it, and and it turned out to be a genre on its own. And
and I mean, you look at it, how it inspired like Gears of War and like pretty much every other third-person shooter game that came after it, and it still holds up really well. I think even if I probably played it, now I'd still enjoy it just as much as like the first time I played it.
Yeah, they actually
my right arm after you. It's like your right arm comes off. That little bit.
That's awesome.
Easy. I loved it.
I replayed that game maybe 2 or 3 years ago when it was released for the PS3, and I'm like, okay, this is still badass, man.
Yeah, it's still a great game. I played it on 360 when it came out for like games on demand, and that's how I was like, oh, you know what? I haven't played this in like 5 or 6 years, and I played it and I loved it and thought it was great. So.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I still like it. It's still my favorite Resident Evil game, to be honest. It still holds up to it. It's like perfectly balanced between like action and scary stuff, and like the way it was built was really intricately made. It's like that's how you do level design. That's a great example.
Yeah, and I guess we'll get into this later as everyone else talks about their games, but I guess like what exactly is it about certain games that makes them hold up versus other ones, or ones like, for example, if you play like the original Resident Evil, like it's still pretty fun and like, but something like that doesn't really hold up now. If you try to play like the original Resident Evil, it won't hold up at all. So
yeah, I completely
like that being released now.
Except the opening movie, which is still one of the worst opening movies to a game ever. Wesker.
George, what about you? Any games stick out?
I'm trying to think. I generally like to leave things in the past. So like we talk about HD remakes, and it's like I'm usually not a fan because I don't think HD remakes are for me. I think it's for people who've never played the game before, and this is the right way to introduce them without the ugly graphics. But I always kind of, we're talking about playing Final Fantasy 3, and it's like I'm playing. It's like, yeah, this is kind of like a history lesson. And I'm like, oh, I'm kind of reminded why I kind of hate playing JRPGs now. But saying that, I think a game I always go back to is probably any of these Suikoden games aside from 4. I always go back to that franchise. I don't know what it is about that game. I've yet to see a modern JRPG take some of their, like if you want to steal things from a RPG and make your RPG awesome, take things from Suikoden. And it was one of those where it's like you have your typical turn-based battle, but then you had these massive scale wars that in every game was varied. So like one game was just, here's a crowd of people, pick a thing and it becomes rock, paper, scissors, and they all got together, see little angels float when they die. The next one was more of like a turn-based strategy game where like this square represented 3,000 units, and then you figure out the best movements from it. Like archers will counter these guys, and then the third one, it was just like a massive, just grid-based, really cool. I always like the idea of like you have a central base and you build on your central base by recruiting more people, and it's like, hey, now you have an elevator, now you have a chemist, now or in Suikoden, was it 4, the one with the boat, which I'm not too crazy about, but I like the idea of having anything with a central hub. I like that you can kind of like grow and expand, and it's really good. And the game holds up well for a game that's like the hero's like 16 years old. But Suikoden 3, if you haven't played it, play that game. The game's awesome.
No wonder you like Peace Walker so much because Mother Base is just like you have a central hub.
I love anything that gives me like I love having a chill spot that you can just kind of customize and you can visit at any time and you can decide more or less where things go. And I like how, I don't know, maybe I'm just a secret interior decorator. I love coming back and be like, I put that there, it's awesome. I put this there, it's awesome.
Did you play Skyrim? You played Skyrim,
yeah.
Or not Skyrim, Oblivion.
Oh yeah. I find a place. I'm like, listen, this is my house. I'm like, no, there's people. No,
do you personalize it and everything? Go out.
Oh yeah, I fill the bookcases. I put the armor up the way I want to. I have my rack of weapons, and I make sure I have different outfits set up. I'm like, well, this is my adventuring stuff. I'm just going to be out and about. But if I'm going to go, like, deep dungeon diving, I got my set of armor here. Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah,
Right.
I did the same thing in Fallout 3. When I got my house, I would like, just deck it out and get all this. I got like the love theme, so it had these like two giant like dolls in the middle of the room. Like it was like a love shack. It was great. And
It's
then
hilarious.
I got a nail gun and I started like putting nails in so I could like type my name into the wall and stuff like that. It was great. So
That's so like funny to me. Like I just can't imagine myself doing that. I have a friend who was obsessed with Oblivion, like obsessed with it, and he was telling a story about how he spent hours on end, like putting his house together and like kind of like what you did, Georgie, just like putting the books in and setting up plates. Like he found like plates and putting like setting the table with food as if he was coming home from like a
You know
like,
what the best part about that is? You spend hours doing like this meticulous design, and then you accidentally do a dragon shot that just shoots everything off a table and everything off the wall, and you're just like, fuck you, I need to reload this.
Yeah, that's exactly what he would do. He would leave and then he would reload. He would come out so he could save, and it would just constantly because he was obsessed with keeping it together. And I just remember going, that's meticulous. That's like kind of a little obsessive compulsive. That like
But it's great that a game will let you do that. Like I love going into like an NPC's house, jumping on the dining room table and just knocking things over, and they just kind of look at you like, "Can I help you?" Like, I'm a main character in RPG. I can do whatever the fuck I want.
yeah, I think in particular. I think in particular it's easy to do that with open world games like that, like whether it's like the Bethesda games like Fallout or Skyrim or whatever, that it's just so easy to kind of just hop back in and have a good time because there's so much stuff to do, and just those kind of things where it's so easy to just kind of dick around and like have fun. Or even stuff like Far Cry, like when I was playing through Far Cry 3, there were just so many opportunities as I was playing the game for just to like, all right, I want to go grab this bunch of tigers and just have them go and just wreck shit. Just take out guys. It was great.
That's pretty awesome. Actually, George, I want to know, do you ever play any of the older games in Suikoden and then like compare them to the newer ones?
They're different because the newer ones went kind of like full 3D, which they're kind of hit or miss. Like I wasn't a big fan of the later ones. They they are nicer looking, but the full 3D just you kind of get these weird things like we're gonna hide something behind this tree, and it's like no, I don't want to play a game where I have to look behind a fucking tree. Like don't do your secrets that way. It should be a secret like let me go through like a dungeon, fight a cool boss, and get something cool from that. Just don't hide stuff in the pixels or you didn't check all the barrels. I'm like fuck you, I'm not gonna check all the barrels. I have to save the world. You're telling me to go check a barrel now? Go to hell. And the game doesn't encourage that, so it's like you just come across it. And also, Breath of Fire 3 is maybe another game I go back to that every couple of years and just kind of play through it because I love the idea of your main character turns into a dragon, and then you get these dragon traits. So you almost do like genetic manipulation, where you just as the game progresses, you unlock newer abilities. So it's like you have a flame trait, and then like a fast trait, and like some weird thief thing, and you can just switch the genetic traits around and then turn into a different dragon every time. So doing that and trying to figure out, I'm going to use the Kaiser dragon because he's gold and spits fire, and that becomes a whole thing. And it's just like really, really pretty art style. And then there's like a fairy village metagame where you're running a fairy village who gets you bonus points. And then there's a whole thing with trainers where it's like you can be mentored by different characters in the game and they all have different stat boosts. Oh, it's awesome. And then halfway through the game, your character fucking grows up. So you play with him as like a cool ass adult. Man dragon. I was like, this game is amazing.
That's pretty awesome.
It's on PlayStation. I believe it's on PlayStation. The Suikoden games are all on PlayStation and then on PlayStation 2. They haven't made the plunge to PlayStation 3 yet. There's been no modern Suikoden, which
I think I tried to play it once and was just I don't know. There was just something about it that just was just like.
Breath of Fire is a slow starter because you literally play as fucking kids, and it's just like after the first couple hours we're just gonna do annoying kid stuff. I'm like, oh, you guys are irritating. And then once the kids get into trouble and introduce like the bigger story, that's when the game gets better. But yeah, like it's classic RPG where nothing happens for like the first 3 hours.
Yeah, pretty much how it is. Hey, Diana, what about you? Any games that you've gone back to and be like, hey, this is kind of like interesting playing this now?
Honestly, I can always go back to playing Final Fantasy, the first one. Like there's something about it that always just pulls me back, and no matter like how many times I play it, it's just I don't know. There's something about it. There's just
Final Fantasy 1 or
Final Fantasy 1. Like
What
I don't know if it's what was that?
What system you played on?
I play ROM.
Okay, nice. The real old school then.
That's illegal.
Yeah, I haven't like bought any of.
No, you own it, and this is you're backing up your
Excuse
game.
me, I owned it. I owned it for a very long time until my mom decided to sell it. But even so,
You owned
I'm
it.
just gonna use those very long times as like an excuse. But I go back to that a lot.
ROMs. Just this is my disapproving. All right. Those developers worked really hard. They're seeing no money from this.
What? Come on! Don't do that to me.
No, they saw Diana's money like 10 years ago, or
Yeah, more than that. Jeez, I own the original one. I can always go back to for me it's like the nostalgia game. So I can always go back to playing Legend of Zelda. I can always go back to playing Wind Waker over and over and over again. I think I'm on like my third playthrough of Stranger's Wrath, Oddworld.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, to go even more recent, it's not really recent, Patapon. I like playing that over and over again. I don't know. Dragon Age, I can play that over and over again. I'm playing my 50,000th time.
Nice.
This time on PC, so I'm doing that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. To kind of go with what Ryan was talking about, I think for me, there's something about I'm always drawn to games that have a really, really good story. Dragon Warrior, I can play that over and over again. Legend of Dragoon, I can play that.
Nice.
Did you guys ever play that?
That one I missed out on, but I know about it. Yeah.
That was a cool game. I used to.
That was a really, really good game.
That one.
What was that?
Go ahead, George. Say that again,
George.
George.
Switch the discs all the time in that game. So it's like, you're back on disc 4. Now put disc 2. I'm like, no, I just put disc 4 in. Why would I do that? And
you know what's so funny about Legend of Dragoon is that it was one of those games for me that always comes out in my memory as oh man, look, they're advertising it out in on the open, because I remember seeing posters.
It was I remember a cool CG trailer. It was these people.
Yeah, the trailer was on
dragon thing, guys. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I remember they were the marketing for that was just so out there in public. It's funny to say public, but to think of that video game marketing. For me, I remember Legend of Dragoon being on TV.
Yeah, this was on the vein after Final Fantasy VII, where it's you can sell an RPG if you don't actually show the game, but you show a really cool CG trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
Freak someone enough where it sells the world almost for them.
That's totally what happened to me. It's I actively remember it being the first game that I actively was whoa, this looks cool because of the commercial. Let me go get it, and it was. So yeah.
I got a question though. Okay, because a lot of these games that you're naming are really old, especially the NES ones. Those mechanics don't bother you, because that's one of the problems I encountered. I want to go back to some of these old games, but I kind of want to play a remastered version of it because, not the graphics, but some of the interface. You can't just save wherever you want. You can't, things are just clunkier. That kind of stuff doesn't bother you.
It depends on the game, because
I think it depends on the game.
Final Fantasy save crystal thing I thought was neat because that was part of the game. It's listen, I can't fuck up because the last save point was all the way back here. And I think that, depending on what the game you were playing, that was just part of the rules. I would love a modern thing where you can just kind of save every 5 minutes or right before the boss fight. But I think that added something to the difficulty or made you just a little bit wiser. It's I fuck up, I'm going to have to go all the way back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally. I remember when I played those old school games, that just specifically for Final Fantasy, that I was always very, very careful. But now, especially with the ROMs, you could save wherever. You could just be oh, man, I'm going to go into this fight. Let me just go buck wild. Let me save right before I go into the fight. So if I die, I can always just refresh it. So, but even so, for me, it's not about the playing it. It's more about playing the story and experiencing all of that all over again. That's one of the reasons why I picked up Dragon Age again. Not only because I love the series, and I'm also actually reading the book, the first one. So
very cool.
Yeah, so I'm reading that. And I was oh man, I want to go back to that world because here I am. They're referencing this was a prequel. It's when Merrick goes down to the Deep Roads for the second time. and you discover somebody's mom, which is really cool, and I didn't know that. And so so reading the book made me want to play it again, and now I'm reliving, and I never read the books before, but I'm reliving Dragon Age now that I have that the history in my head. So yeah, for me it's about the story more than anything else. It's really not about gameplay. I think it's difficult to sort of judge that. Like for me personally, like I don't know if I could like play like Dark Souls or Demon Souls or anything like that. Like play that like 5, 6, 7, 8,000 times.
Yeah, I can't. I tried to play that game. I can think I got 6 or 7 hours into the first one. I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? It was just brutal torture after brutal torture. I'm like, no. Yeah. And that's actually one of the reasons I can't play a lot of those games. Like, I know it's about the story for some of those games, but it's like, okay, I like the story, but I don't want to go through all this like sludge, you know?
I think actually one good example of that for me is Fallout 3, because when I first played through the game, that's one of those games where like I played it once, I played a ton of it, and I could never go back and play Fallout 3 ever again just because of how much time. Because I think overall I put probably like 100 hours, at least like maybe 125 hours into Fallout 3, because I played everything. I played all like the main game, I played all the DLC, and I just know I could never put that much time into that game ever again.
Yeah,
you know, just because that was like a one and done. I love that game, but it's one and done. I can't go back and play it again because I just can't put that kind of time into it again.
Yeah, most JRPGs are like that for me. I love JRPGs. I can't name one that I've replayed.
Well,
I can't do it. It's just I put hundreds of hours.
I can't. Well, think about when JRPGs were like really popular for us. We were like still kids, and we had like a whole summer off, or we had just large chunks of free time. We can cram in a 30 to 50 hour JRPG.
Oh yeah.
With like no problem. Like at that time, you could fucking throw any JRPG at me, I'll fucking play it. Now you throw an RPG, I throw it right fucking back at you and said no.
Hell no.
Yeah, because Fallout 3 I played on one of my winter breaks from college, so I had a month to just dedicate to that game. So that's how that I probably played it like a good like couple hours at least every day during that break. So. And now like if I tried playing that now, it would take me like 6 months to even like get close to finishing it.
Yeah, like right now, I'm more concerned is just like with the time I have, give me something that that makes me happy in the gap of time I'm willing to put in. So when I hear like now, Western RPGs are too short, they're only like 10 or 12 hours. I'm like, that's still a lot of fucking time. And if you tell me a good story in 10 to 12 hours as opposed to 60, and which was the issue in Japanese RPGs, it's just padding.
Yeah, it is total padding.
I don't know. I think also times have changed as well. We've become very like instant gratification. Everything needs to happen now.
Well, I think we've gotten better storytellers that know how to tell a shorter story.
Do you think a shorter story is a better story though, or do you want to be like immersed in the world?
Well, use the example of like Final Fantasy VII. People love the game. It's not a bad game. It's good. But there's literally a good
debatable.
6 to 12 hours. There's a good 6 to 12 hours that I kind of don't know what happened. And I'm pretty sure if we go back to it, nothing significant happens.
You're like, what is going on? Now I'm going through this panty drawer. I don't know.
George was drinking during that section of the game. So.
Once you leave Midgard, I kind of don't know anything that happens up until you reach the temple where Eris dies. And I'm pretty sure that's like 20 hours. So
spoilers.
Oh yeah, sorry. There's nothing that sticks out. So there's nothing that sticks out. Oh yeah, you guys go to like a casino or something, and Sephiroth calls a meteor. I think.
Like racing chocobos, and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah. So I feel like there was a lot of just go to a new town that was just it filled some sort of RPG theme where it's like you're in like a jungle town, now you're in like a beach place, now you're in an industrial area. And
bringing it back to Dragon Age, that was probably one of the first Western RPGs I played. Because before that, I was like, when I heard the term JRPG, I'm like, that's kind of redundant. An RPG is from Japan. What are you talking about here?
Nope.
I didn't even know about that. So it was one of the first games, Western RPGs I played. I'm like, wait. I don't have to.
It was a very.
I don't have to level grind here. Like I could just play the game and I just level up along with the story. So I'm like, why would I ever want to go back to level grinding again? Well, it was like a revelation.
So like the Westerner, an RPG is a Dungeons and Dragons template.
Yeah.
Because RPGs is just that's how they started. It was just tabletop games. You build a character, you get skill points. It wasn't a grind fest. It was more kind of like, and that was the big difference. It was like you had more freedom to do kind of what you wanted in a Western RPG, or more control over your character, and like you even felt you had more control over even like the whole story or like your adventure, just because you can do something simple like you can rename your guy.
Yeah.
His hair color. Like, you had some ownership on there, as opposed to a JRPG that, like, a JRPG just here's a story. Fucking point A to point B, you're gonna like it no matter what.
Yeah.
It's interesting you mentioned that because the original JRPGs were based off Dungeons and Dragons too, but at some point they started becoming more story based. So it was like a big divergence there at one point.
Yeah. One question I had for you guys: how do you feel about like re-releases or HD remakes of games? Like whether they're like like an HD re-release or something like for example, you have like Oddworld New and Tasty, which is coming out in a couple weeks, which is a complete remake of Oddworld Abe's Odyssey, or Grim Fandango as well, the HD re-release of that. So like, what do you guys think? Like, feel about like those kind of releases?
Yeah, I'll jump in first because even years ago, when I was just a fan of this site, Joel would actually make fun of me. He would like Romulus, I know you're buying this HD re-release because I would buy every single HD re-release. Until this day, I still buy them. Like I have like games back there that are still in shrink wrap. I just buy them like HD, gotta buy it. But the few I have played, like Resident Evil and what was it? Not Jack and Daxter, Sly Cooper. I'm like, this is great. I mean, you gotta kind of get used to some of the mechanics and stuff, but personally, I like them because this is going to be a weird thing to say, but they look the way I remember them looking. Because if you try to play them, okay, you know what I'm trying to say, right? Like my mind remembers them a certain way, and these HD re-releases make them look the way I remember it. Because if you try to play them the way they actually look, you'll be like, this is kind of bad, man. This doesn't even look good on my.
That's how I feel about the Halo Anniversary Edition, and they have that cool trick where if you hit the select button, it'll swap back to. This is the updated graphics. If you hit select, you go back to those old-ass year 2000. And you sit there, and it looks like a horror show. You're like, what the fuck?
Fable Anniversary did the same thing too, right?
Yeah, it's like, what's wrong with your face?
Yeah, but that's actually
teeth
like,
and no face, Captain.
But I kind of like that too. At the same time, like with there's some games like the Street Capcom released a bunch of their fighting games, right? Like Marvel vs. Capcom, all these games, and you can actually like smooth out the graphics or make them more blurry. I actually like keeping them like old school without like any blur or like anything like fancy done to them. I like seeing them that way. It's kind of interesting, but at the same so that I do like that.
For me, though, these re-releases are. It's more for me. It's not like. I don't care that they're HD-ified or anything like that. I think for me more it's just like not wanting to bust out my old school system.
Yeah, it makes it very convenient.
Yeah, it's more of an answer back to the lack of backwards compatibility these days, where it's like Sony couldn't give you backwards compatibility, but here's the game again, and it just looks prettier.
I also look forward to them just because a lot of the games that are re-released or remade like this are games that like either like I have a really fond so for example Oddworld, like I loved the original Oddworld, and so getting to replay it in this new HD remake, like I'm really looking forward to New and Tasty. And also stuff like Grim Fandango HD I'm looking forward to because I never got to play the original Grim Fandango, so for me this is going to be
Fandango.
Yeah, it's
that's when the HD remake is perfect. Like Abe's Odyssey, I didn't play Abe's Odyssey. The last time I played it was when the game came out, and I must have been
it was at least 15 years ago. It was a long time ago. So Grim Fandango I'm looking forward to because it'll be my first time playing it, and I've always wanted to. And like also last year with DuckTales, when DuckTales Remastered came out, I never got to play DuckTales. So for me, that was my first time going through the game. So I got to enjoy the experience of playing it, but see it in a new way.
I'm excited to play Grim Fandango. I played a little bit of it, like like when you have like a very faint memory in the back of your head.
Yeah.
I remember playing it and not appreciating it. Like
it's probably because it didn't have the reputation that it does now. Versus when it came out like.
Well, it's not more about the reputation. It's more about
like it came out when there were literally thousands of adventure games. So if you missed Grim Fandango, that's because you were probably bombarded with so much other crap at the time. Because adventure games, that was like the hot genre. Like how we're first-person shooters are a thing now. Like.
And I think more it's a fact of appreciating it more now, and now that I'm older and I'm wiser and I can get the jokes, because a lot of those, like for example, like watching I don't know, what's a good example? Oh, like Ghostbusters. Watching like Ghostbusters when I was a kid was still really awesome, and I loved it. But watching Ghostbusters as an adult is a completely different experience because then you start to think about like the jokes and like the side little quips and like the fact that Venkman for some reason has sleep medicine on him. Like he's able to. So it's just like things like that. You're like, why does he have like that with him when he goes on a date to this chick's house? But let's not think about that. Whatever. Like, let's just move on. That was the 80s. They were wild and crazy. Who knows? So it's like watching and playing these games like as an adult. I feel like you get like a better sense of appreciation, and that's what I like about these re-releases and remakes. However, I do have a small issue with a game that's been released like last year, kind of like
The Last of Us.
Say it.
The Last of Us and Tomb Raider, and call a spade, because I do have a problem with that. I do understand. I understand that maybe that it's because these games were released at the late stages of the PS3 or I don't know.
They want those. I mean, they're going after the holdouts. They're going after the people who are just
and now you want to get those holdouts, folks. However, why not, in my opinion, just wait until the PS4 comes out or the next gens come out so that you can release these games and
you want the bigger install base.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, but that's just me.
To me, 50 million PS3s is going to sell me more copies than the 7.
No, but that's true. Can you imagine The Last of Us being a launch title, or like Tomb Raider being a launch title for the PS4 or the Xbox?
Then you only sell 7 million.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, I'm just. It's like, well, of course, this is like speculative, but it's fascinating thought. Yeah. It's like what if they had just waited another year?
Yeah. Oh, by the way, full disclosure, and Joel, if you're watching this, I bought Tomb Raider, I'm going to buy The Last of Us, and I'm going to buy Grand Theft Auto. I'm that guy. I'm the problem.
Why are you buying Grand Theft Auto? There is nothing.
Grand Theft Auto.
There is literally nothing cool about the... I don't know, whatever.
See, I would play Grand Theft Auto again to do that online. Now
Dude, I don't have to do online again. I can just pick up
by the time the 5 remake comes out, the online base are going to work.
Diana's gonna leave the podcast right now.
She's like, Tony, what the hell, man?
I'm the guy. We'll just put this for.
Yes.
Give it curly hair, George, so it matches.
That's the featured image for this episode. Oh man, but yeah, one thing I wanted to bring up. This is something I do when I play these old games, especially re-releases of like games that came out in like the early 2000s. I actually mentally try to put myself in that place because that actually helps me. Because if I try to think of it in a modern sense, and I'm like, what the hell's up with this game? How come it's not working right? Why are the saves like 5 hours away from each other? So I try to mentally, put myself there.
I do not want to put myself in early 2000s, George. Just
just video game wise, not not yourself because. But yeah, that's something I do because it kind of helps me appreciate like, oh yeah, I see what they're trying to go for. That's actually pretty cool. Like even when I play full disclosure. The first time I played Final Fantasy VII, even though I saw it being played when it originally came out, the first time I actually played it myself was in 2007, right? And I had to put myself in that 1998 kind of mindset. I'm like, this is actually pretty neat. I see what they're doing. Oh, what did George just put up?
That's my reaction to you just playing it that... What? That's my
it happens.
Face. Dumbfounded.
But didn't Ryan just say he didn't play Grim Fandango? You didn't give him any shit?
That's PC gaming.
I'm sorry that I'm a baby, but it's like, whatever.
It's like, that's different though. It's PC. I mean, like...
Final Fantasy. Yeah. By the way, Final Fantasy VII.
You would have to have a lot of money to play, those type of games on a PC. You know what I mean? So...
Final Fantasy VII was one of those games I didn't own because I was like total Sega guy. I'm like, I'm not buying a PlayStation, but I would go to my friend's house every day to watch him play Final Fantasy VII. I'm like, I kind of want that. Same thing with Metal Gear. I was like, that game looks cool, but I can't buy it because it's not on the system I own. But yeah. But yeah, so I kind of mentally put myself in that headspace, like, okay, so I could appreciate more what they were trying to do, but you still think about the modern sense, like, oh yeah, that game actually paved the way for a lot of things, like Resident Evil 4. The over-the-shoulder camera games didn't do that before. That was the one that started that. Final
Or at least,
Fantasy.
most games didn't do it well.
Yeah, they didn't do it well because you had third-person shooters, but they didn't do it like that.
But Resident Evil was RE4 was kind of the first one to really
It found the right spot where to put the
Yeah.
Yeah, and they kind of started the trend that you saw.
It's totally a sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I do have to vouch. Even though I played the PSP version of Final Fantasy 1, that game still holds up. That's a lot of fun. 2 is a little hard to get into because you basically if you do too much attacking, your magic goes down. If you do too much magic, your attack goes down. So you got to find a weird balance between the characters that artificially inflated the freaking playtime of it. So that was frustrating. But Final Fantasy 1, yeah, to me that still holds up too. Great game. All right. Anything else about HD re-releases before we wrap this up?
I think it depends on the game. For me, for an HD remake to work, it needs to be the gap of time needs to be long enough for me to actually miss the game. That's why I wasn't a big fan of the Devil May Cry remakes or the Silent Hill remakes, which were super let down because on top of it the game was just broken. So it was I don't remember the original Silent Hill being this bad.
Yeah.
If you do a remake, you better do it right.
Yeah, I feel like there should be almost a 10-year
waste of money. I feel bad.
I like the 10-year rule for a lot of these games, which is weird because I was just complaining about Halo. I was like, oh my god, that was 2000. That's 14 years ago. So yeah, they were due up for a remake. Holy balls.
Yeah, or Halo, the Halo 2 anniversary, because Halo 2 was 10 years ago now. So.
Yeah, I saw the panel that they were talking about the Halo 2 and the gun goose. The mongoose has a gun on it now.
Yeah, it's pretty rad.
That's how I felt about the gun goose. Yeah. That gun goose, son.
That's pretty awesome. All right, I guess that wraps it up. Like I said, I'm the culprit. I'm gonna keep buying these games.
Stop buying it. They immediately announce it. They have your bank account already, assigned to their bank account because they know.
Yeah, for real. It's
all Tony's fault.
Well, Tony will buy it. All right, well that's.
Well, Tony will buy it. Tony buys everything.
It's all Tony's fault. Tony, you had one job.
You have one job. It's to buy video games. They want me to keep buying them, right? But you're right. They're going to do that. Like Activision or whatever, they're just going to have my bank account and be like, okay, new re-release, just take the money out of Tony.
Take it automatically. That's exactly what they do.
Yeah, and then I won't even play them, which is even worse. I'm like, I like having them.
Tony will be like, oh yeah, The Last of Us remastered. Yeah, over here, please. Yeah, I'll take it.
You want it? I'll buy it.
Yeah, dude, I just opened up the Metal Gear Solid HD collection. I've owned it for about 2 years now. This is the first time I finally cracked it open.
Oh, good too. God damn it.
All right, let's get into some news here. Not kind of slim pickings here, but okay. First one, this is a bit of a follow-up. Cliffy B announced his new game. It's a free-to-play game on the PC. It's an arena shooter. Arena shooter doesn't surprise me. The free-to-play kind of does. What do we think about this?
Well, the company he hooked up with was. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
The company he hooked up with was Nexon. And if you know these guys, it's this South Korean. They do free-to-play games all the fucking time. I used to play Dark Ages and Nexus Kingdom of the Winds back when I was a kid.
Oh, wow.
Those games were super fucking addicting, and these guys know how to make a free-to-play game. So, they do MapleStory. Yeah, so they know the right way to do a free-to-play game. So, if you're going to go that route, you want to do it with a company that's done it before and that's had success, and most of their customers are happy. And yeah, I mean, he knows shooters, so I'd like to see what he brings to the table. I think a free-to-play shooter means that everyone can play it. So even if you're a Cliffy B hater, you have no excuse not to try it out, to say, this game sucks, it's too much like Quake or not Quake. So I think free-to-play is kind of where the industry's going.
You think so?
Yeah, I think so, especially for shooters. I've been a big fan of people releasing, I wish Call of Duty would just release a multiplayer version of their game every year, or I'm a big fan of that Call of Duty Elite. Do a subscription service where all it is, you're just updating that multiplayer and it's just a multiplayer game. And every November, if you want to do that really dumb single player, $40, you can try it if you want. If you buy it, you get some bonus stuff with multiplayer. But I feel like if you have maybe a central, because they tried this with Killzone on the PS3 where it's hey, the multiplayer is free up to level 15. And if you like it, you pay $14 and you have the full multiplayer experience and you could rank up. They did the same thing with, they tried with Uncharted, right, I believe. And I think that worked. I like to see more people try that out because some people, think about it. Some people go straight for the multiplayer and never touch the single player.
Seriously, they should totally, specifically the whole Call of Duty, Battlefield. I feel like just stop making single player games and focus on like the multiplayer in my opinion.
If you devote all your resources into making like the most compelling multiplayer experience, maybe Battlefield 4 doesn't run into the issues of, hey, this game doesn't work. And it's like, oh, but our single player is really pretty. But like, no one plays it because that's not like. I feel like most developers should stick to their strengths, and I think Cliffy B knows what his strength is, and it's making competitive shooters. And I'm like, hey, like I'll try it out, and like I'm sure it'll probably look great too, and it's free. And he did an AMA today where on Reddit where he kind of talked about why he's a big fan of the the free-to-play model, and he's not into the pay-to-win. It's like, hey, if you're gonna pay for something, it's gonna be like Team Fortress. It'll be to make your guy look cool or cooler. Yeah. And that's fine. To me, I'm okay with that. Like, I don't want to hit a paywall. I don't want to pay $5 and then, look, you have EXP multipliers. I don't need any of that. Just give me a game that works. And if I like the game enough, and people are willing to do this, they'll buy a $15 starter pack that gives you, like, a skin on your gun or something like that, just because it's their way of, and I've done this with, like, iPhone games that are free. It's like, I've played 60 hours of Hearthstone, or Heroes of Warcraft. You know what? I just bought a card pack for $10. Why? Not because I'm going to fucking go nuts and hope I'm getting a legendary card. It's like, hey, you know what? They've given me so much for free. I think giving them $10 is like the least I can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, for all the time you spend on it. And I'm going back to games that just should have multiplayer. Titanfall did a great. Like, you know what? Just multiplayer, and that's working great for that. So I want to bring this up because you read some of the comments. I posted this story. It was like some people were like, oh, free to play. This is gonna fail. It's like, really, guys? You're just gonna judge it just like that?
Guys, the most successful game in the world is Dota or League of Legends. Like, you forgot what people are playing around the world. They're playing free-to-play games, and they're good free-to-play games. Like, are there are there more shitty free-to-play games than there are really good ones? Oh yeah, definitely. But there are also a lot of like shitty $60 games on top of the really good $60 games.
And what is the Borderlands creator releasing? What did he just what did they just?
A free-to-play MOBA shooter. They I don't blame people for dipping their toes in this genre. Because
exactly.
You need to try in order to fail, and then when you fail, you learn from it and you do something even cooler. So.
Yeah, but I think what was going on is they expected this, Cliffy B, so they expected a big PS4, Xbox One, like AAA game. That's what they were expecting.
He's a PC guy. That's where his roots are. That's what he loves. Like, just let him do PC. Let him kind of run away with. I like early Cliffy B days where it's like, I got this crazy game, Gears of War, cover shooters and monsters coming from the ground. Great, and that was before it became a franchise. And you almost got trapped in like, all right, now we can't do too much because people want a sequel to Gears, so we can't venture out of the way here. So that's why people were like,
you're retired.
Yeah. Or you're fired. It's like, now publishers are telling me what to do. It's like, we need a third Gears. It's like, I don't want to do a third Gears. But it's like, we're not going to give you any money then. And you're like, oh, third Gears.
All right, let's move on. I threw this one in for me. George is giving me some shit about this. So there's going to be a Heavenly Sword movie. I'm excited because, am I the only one that's played this game in this room? I think I may be the only one.
I think everyone might have played it because it was only 2 hours long, but yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I haven't played it. I haven't played it yet, but it's on my to-do list.
Okay, but yeah, it's one of.
I mean, I love Devil May Cry. They do really good motion capture and like really cool cutscene stuff. But
yeah, and that's what stuck out because we actually saw a trailer. Because I think we posted that this movie's being made a long time ago, but this is the first time we saw the trailer, and the trailer looked like the cinematics of the freaking game. I thought it was great. Everybody looked the same and stuff. And going back to our earlier topic, that was one of those games I played it years after it was released, like, maybe 2 years ago. And it was released in 2007. I'm like, yeah, the gameplay-wise, this didn't hold up very well, did it? Like, you could tell, like, this is a launched PS3 game because they threw everything at you, every single kind of motion control, everything.
It was a poor man's God of War at the time.
Yeah,
it was. Like, I love the story. I like Naruto. I like all that stuff. But it was like, yeah, this game, man, like, it could have, I wish they would have done, like, a remake of that, like, with better controls, but I'm kind of,
I have a feeling that's the intention of this movie. It's to sort of drum up some excitement. It's probably crazy cheaper to make a movie than it is to make a video game.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I'm pretty sure it probably is cheaper to make a computer-generated movie than to make a video game, but, like, this
totally.
Anyway. And so I think the intention is probably for that. It's to release this movie to sort of get people interested in the story and go, oh, what is this? Heavenly Sword? That was a game? What? Awesome. So they go and they buy the game. And then maybe, you know, later down the line, maybe in like 6 months, a year, we'll get an announcement, Heavenly Sword 2 game coming out, you know, which I think, you know, it might work for them or might not work for them. Whichever way, they still released a movie. If it does well, awesome, they get a game out of it. If it doesn't, then they don't. There's no pressure for them to make a game.
Yeah, and if the movie does well, they might just make it into a movie franchise, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, or keep it as as a movie franchise and skip the game altogether. I mean, again, this is the whole Sony PlayStation sort of initiative to try to create original content and
Transmedia.
Sort of become, yeah, it's a
This
sort
is how
of.
I feel about Transmedia. I'm just gonna Dana face it right now.
Oh,
Wow.
Dana face it.
Deface it.
Oh,
Things are getting better and better.
yeah, this is awesome. He's gonna have a Picasso drawing by the end of this.
Yeah,
episode.
really.
Yeah, to you guys who are just listening, watch this, please, because you're missing like half the jokes of this episode.
You know what's great when like the office is yours, you can kind of just grab anything you want and do whatever the fuck you want. Like I'm just whatever. It's my notepad, whatever.
Fantastic. All right, speaking about PS4, so yeah, Sony released the sale. So combined PS3, PS4, PS Vita have sold over 100 million. That's like 87 million PS3s, and the rest is the other systems, which is, I guess that's too surprising, you know. I'm kind of sad about the Vita. Vita's still struggling, man. It's like
No one can find a Vita for whatever reason. There's just no Vitas around.
Why is that, by the way? I'm hearing like people.
I feel like maybe with Sony just kind of like watching demand. It's like we don't need to flood the market with stuff people aren't buying, so we can hold off of that until the holiday. The only issue is they literally just there's just none of them out there. It's like you can really.
I've seen a couple in the wild. I just think people aren't looking for them.
Like you know,
Yeah.
You're just not looking hard enough.
Y'all ain't looking. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, right. And the last bit here, this is not specifically game news, but we talk about them all the time within gaming news. So Kickstarter had this, you know, thing where some guy was like, "Hey, I'm making potato salad. Give me money
Don't get me started.
to finish the potato salad." It was supposed to be like, what was the stretch goal? It was like
$10.
$10.
$10.
Oh my
It's like
god!
I need $10 to make a potato salad.
You know what's fun? Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, let me finish. So $10, right? How much did he end up getting? Thousands and thousands of dollars, right?
Hold on, I'm pulling it up now.
Like,
Last I checked, he was at $70,000.
So
70
right
grand.
Now, right? Now, hold on. No, he's at altogether. He is at $42,929.
It went down?
No, I don't think so. No, that's I looked at. I'm at the Kickstarter right now. It's $42,929.
No, guys, it was higher. It was higher this morning.
You know what this is? This is the internet coming together and just like embracing it.
I'm on the. Wait, hold on. Let's see.
Yeah, you know what? It doesn't matter if it made 40,000 or 70,000. The fact is that this goes to show you, and I'm sorry for being, you know, let me calm down. This goes to show just how stupid people are. It's like people are funding this just for the sake of going, hey, look at that! I funded this Kickstarter just for bragging rights. It's ridiculous. You have
Who cares?
like you have Kickstarters that are legit things.
It wasn't like those guys who like, if you don't give me $10,000, I'm gonna kill this rabbit and eat it. You remember those guys?
No, yeah, that's horrible. But I'm talking about
the guy's making a potato salad, and someone wants
The
to.
fuck? Are you fucking kidding me? That was real?
Yeah,
that was real. That was real.
Funny, I think. Google it.
Yeah, he's right about that. Now, obviously, this isn't as bad as that, but to me, it's like, come on, guys, really? Like, there are Kickstarters out there that actually deserve money instead of this idiot with his freaking potato salad.
See, you're missing the point. Tony, you're obviously missing the point, as usual. What this
You
It's not a
fucking
matter of
asshole.
missing the point.
What this does is
He's
actually
not
a
missing
good
the
thing.
point because he's not with it or anything like that. It's because it's fundamentally retarded.
Yes.
Apologize for
And I'll
using
tell
that
you why this
phrase.
is good. Let me explain why this is good for Kickstarter. Because this most likely brought people in who've never used Kickstarter in their life, but they hear this really ridiculous idea of this guy's like, hey, you know, people are giving money to this asshole who wants $10 for a tennis salad. So people say, remember, to do this, you have to sign up for a Kickstarter account. You can't just, you're not throwing money at him. And you know what? You're on the site and you see like what Kickstarter is actually about, and you might see some cool movie projects, some cool like comic book stuff, some cool video game stuff that you might be part of. They get to
You know that's not happening.
Kickstarter.
People won't jump in on the
It's
joke.
sad for the world. It's sad for the world, dude. It's not cool. It is not cool. That's like just think about this. This dude, when you meet your goal on Kickstarter, you automatically get that money.
Great.
So
Clever.
this
Clever.
dude,
I wish I
he's
thought
gonna
about
get $50,000 now. Where is it now?
it.
for potato salad because he couldn't finish a potato salad.
Better stretch goals where it's like, well, I'm going to throw some bacon in here. Or I'm going to do potato salad.
And by the way,
it's like there's something morally reprehensible about that. It's the fact that there are people who are legitimately trying to meet their goals and they can't meet their goals, and this asshole says $10. $10 is his stretch, is his goal. He makes it immediately, and now it's like at 50 grand, so he's easily going to get $50,000, and there is no guarantee that he will ever do, like,
there's no guarantee
take the fucking money and go to Fiji. Like, that's the shit that he could possibly do.
And you know, he could. He might take that money and say, like, hey, I'm going to donate this money to charity. There's no indication.
If he does, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that's what's going to. And I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen because at some point, I don't know. I love the whole joke of the matter, and people are adults. You can't be like 9 years old and donate to a Kickstarter. I don't think anyone was tricked. I think people just kind of love the idea of, let me give this guy money to make a potato salad, and it kind of snowballed into a thing. And I think this is a good thing. I like crowdfunding.
I just imagine a bunch of idiots in a room going, hey, man, did you donate to that Kickstarter? Yeah, I did too. Isn't that cool? Aren't we awesome? It's like, get the fuck out of here.
Give a little, Tony. God, life is a gamble.
I don't even think it's a matter of it's either like we're lame or uncool. It's just that they're just something. It's like, I just find it so idiotic. At this point, it's just like,
ridiculous. It shows you just how dumb people are. Like, you're pissing your money away on this bullshit when there's like actual legitimate Kickstarter. This is not a legitimate Kickstarter. I don't care. It's a guy trying to make a fucking potato salad.
It's like, and he still has 23 days left. You know what's funny to me is I feel like people are donating money and then realizing they're making a mistake and they're canceling because this was way higher this afternoon.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe Kickstarter's like, you know what? This is ridiculous, man.
I don't know. Well, at one point, it was at 70. I could have sworn it was at 70, and I actively looked at it. And I was like, is this for real? Like 70 grand? Like, how is this guy making 70 grand? And I feel like somebody was just like, fuck this. Like, forget it. I'm going to remove $1,000. This is actually really stupid. I regret this decision. But like, I don't know. There's something just really wrong about it.
I donated and I feel fine.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I don't want to talk about the same because I'm getting angry.
I have one more news item too that I thought was really cool. They announced.
Tony, look, I hate Kickstarters.
I like Kickstarters. I don't like potato Kickstarters.
I kickstart a lot of programs.
I kickstarted too, man. I freaking Mighty Number 9 will be mine, baby. But that's a legit project, not this bullshit.
The guy?
No, I kickstarted Kung Fury. All right, like don't talk to me about. Like my thing was like I'm posting this Kung Fury. Watch the trailer and tell me, Diana, you just wasted your money. But
George, what were we gonna say, man?
Okay, see, funny you mentioned Mighty Number 9 because on their website they're asking after they made $3 million on a Kickstarter, they're asking for another $100,000.
Yes.
To put in English voice acting.
And that's bullshit. I'm sorry. I call bullshit on that too. You know, it's like, guys, really?
Because if this was the case, I'm gonna give money to the potato salad guy because at least he was fucking honest.
What do you mean? What happened? Why do they need $100,000?
The guys developing Mighty Number 9, they put something on their website, and they're not using Kickstarter. They're just asking for, hey, for $100,000, we're gonna put in English voice acting for an extra after they made $3 million. So
that I call BS.
You would think after making God knows how much over their stretch goals that English voice acting would be included. And to me, I don't really care because Mega Man. The thing about Mega Man didn't have great voice acting. You would just think it was like, yeah, sure, the English voice acting. Wouldn't that be a standard in any modern game you're going to release in North America? Yeah, maybe it might be good if they spoke English. So.
Well, I don't know. I think there's a thing about Kickstarters is that you never realize how much money everything is really going to cost unless like.
No, and I buy that, but I'm
money
just
starts costing. Then like the stretch goals make things way more expensive. So like at the end of the day, like when something like you say. a potato salad's going to cost you $10. All of a sudden, the potato salad's going to cost you $50 because now you have 3 million people who want potato salad.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I should note that it's not for people to get a potato salad. It's just for this guy to finish it.
Which is
it's
great.
Just for him.
It's like people on eBay that eBay a box of something. Like, look at this box of a big screen TV, and right, it's a fucking box, and people still buy it. And I'm like, good for you.
Yeah, but because people are like, hey, I want this kind of potato salad. I want that kind of potato salad. I was like, no, you're not getting a potato salad, man.
People are adults.
He's going to
like,
finish it.
Let them do whatever they want with their money. I think it's kind of hilarious.
All right. Anyway, Ryan,
it kind of shows you like
story? I don't want to talk about potato salad.
Crowdfunding
I'm getting up. Yeah.
Or it's just a good example how something can just catch fire inexplicably. Kind of
just like Flappy Bird. Remember that BS?
Star Citizen is like Star Citizen's probably gonna make $1 billion gajillion. Like, who knows? It's still making money.
But Star Citizen is cool.
That game could also flop. That game could also never come out.
But it's better than potato salad.
I'm
wrapping it up.
Rapture, and then
George, I don't want to talk about this anymore. We're done. I don't care. We're done.
Inventory tracking should be included in your video game.
Okay, fuck it.
In America, some English should be in there.
George is like, fuck you, Tony. I'm going to keep talking.
Potato salad.
I'm finish.
I do agree.
I'm finished.
I've never had potato salad.
Okay, I'm finished.
Off the rails, man. All right.
Ryan, what was your story?
I can't talk anymore now because of that. But anyway. All right. So my one news item I thought was really cool was that they announced that for Alien Isolation, the pre-order DLC that you'll be getting is you'll get some new levels where it has the original voice cast from the first Alien movie. I just thought it was really cool. That's the kind of thing that will make me pre-order the game. I think it's
I'm happy now.
Yeah.
There you go.
Flip that picture around, Matt. There you go.
I hate that. I hate the idea to have to pre-order it, but okay, fine.
But I think it is. Yeah, I usually don't like pre-ordering, but I think for something like this, it's really cool. Because you're getting Sigourney Weaver, you're getting all the original cast in there for the Ian Holm, Harry Dean Stanton.
You got Yapikoto in there, man.
Yapikoto, he is in there. Yeah. Tom Skerritt, they're all in there. It sounds really cool. Yeah. So that was my news item.
No, I like that. I actually considered throwing that in, but like, what else do I need to say about that? But that's fine. I'm down with that. Now I'm gonna know.
I think it's a cool pre-order bonus. So.
Does this game take place on the Nostromo or somewhere else? I don't remember.
Probably somewhere else, I assume, because it's with Ripley's daughter. I don't know if it's the same location, but.
Interesting. Yeah. All right. What games have we been playing this week, Ryan? What have you been playing?
So I got to play and review Valiant Hearts: The Great War on 360. I did a review that went up earlier this week. I actually also just played last night the final episode of The Wolf Among Us for this season, which was really, really, really good. And it ended. I thought it ended the season really well overall.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. So if you kind of, I think without spoiling anything, I think it did a good job of kind of like. Referencing, if you've been paying attention, like kind of referencing stuff that happened all throughout the season. So I thought it was really good for that. And I'll probably have a review of that and for the full season, hopefully later this week. But that's it. That's all I've been playing.
George, what have you been playing, man?
I just finished playing through Sniper Elite. It's shooting people in the nuts is really awesome. It's 3D and it zooms in and it's an X-ray. That part of the game is really cool because they do kind of promote that lone wolf. If you were a fan of that kind of approach to a game where it's like I'm gonna do it on my own and be all methodical and stuff, that's really cool. Only problem with that game is once you actually are indoors and are forced to use other weapons aside from the sniper rifle, the game really falls apart and you kind of see what it's. The review will be out this week, and also a beautiful montage of me just getting headshots and nut shots and heart shots and kidney shots and shooting people like right in the butt because fuck it, they're Nazis. Who cares?
Yeah, literal nut shots, by the way. Diana, what about you? What have you been playing?
I'm playing my Vita. I just downloaded Child of Light. So I'm gonna be playing
Ryan and I are big fans.
It was when they announced the Vita version of Child of Light, I'm like, God damn it, that would have been awesome to play on Vita, and I already played it on PC.
Dude, at this point, I've been waiting. Like the only reason I haven't purchased Valiant Hearts is because I know there's a Vita version coming.
Mm-hmm.
So I picked up Child of Light. I'm gonna play that. I've been replaying Dragon Age as a Dalish elf, Valen. Maker help us. So I've been playing that, I forgot that I bought that I have the season pass for The Walking Dead season 2, so I'm playing that as well on my Vita.
So do I. I haven't. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll make it better. So I haven't really touched it yet.
What the hell?
I just got it on PC, and I can't wait to. I want to see what happens to Clementine because I want the feels again. And also, I think I'm gonna try out Far Cry. I wanted to mention earlier because Ryan's always like, play Far Cry, play Far Cry. I'm like, shut up, Ryan. I'm gonna play Far Cry. But I think so,
it's good so far. I do have one little thing to say about I was gonna say Dragon Age. Walking Dead season 2. I have to say, did you guys play it other than George?
I have played the first 2 episodes. I still can't play episode 3 right now, but
why?
it's not downloading on my computer. It's a technical thing right now, and I have no idea why. But it's weird. I've tried downloading it. It's not playing on my computer, so I have to talk to Steam and see what they can do about it. So.
Yeah, I haven't played this season at all. I'm waiting for October 14 where they release it for the PS4. I'm gonna just play the whole
I've tried downloading it on 3 computers and it doesn't work for whatever reason.
I love the idea that Steam might be a person.
It's well, I contacted Telltale and they were like, we don't know what's wrong. And I'm like, well, that doesn't help me. So it's like.
You need to call John Steam over at Steam Corp.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the man.
Okay.
Don't spoil it.
No, I'm not gonna spoil it. It's just an observation how like it's Clem. This chick is like, how old is she now? She's like 12, 13 now.
She's around there, yeah.
And I just feel like everybody just puts way too much responsibility on her. She's just a kid.
I do. It is kind of funny where it's like, okay, Clementine, we're gonna go kill these people. You're gonna come along with us, and like they put this like little girl in.
It's the fucking apocalypse. Deal with it.
Here's your first job. Here's your first job. You know how like help me like load guns. I'm just like, the fuck, like.
Well, pull your weight, Clem. Come on.
Well, I mean, no, but you'll see when you guys play it. At some point you're just like, this is really like, I get it's the apocalypse, and I get that like, we have. Like, kids need to pull their own weight, but at the same time,
people are
like, she's also a kid. Like, so some of the shit that, like, they're legit asking her for, like, strategies on what to do when people attack. Or it's just like, what? What was that?
Shoot him in the face?
It's just weird. When you guys play it, like, just make that, like, just watch, because there are some moments where I'm just like, wow, they really are giving her way too much responsibility here, which I feel is terrible because it's anyway, whatever. Just let's just move on. Sorry.
All right. And what I've been playing, as I talked about Peace Walker, it's a lot of fun, man. The game still holds up. I love just Fultoning everybody. I was like, you're coming back to the base with me. The only annoying thing is, like, because I played it on the PSP, all that stuff, like, there is transferring, but I'm one of those trophy guys. The fact that I can't transfer all my stuff and still have all my trophies show up, I'm like, nope, I'll just start from scratch. I need to have this, but the game still holds up a lot, and I'm just gonna play it bit by bit like I did with the original. I'll probably start playing my Vita at one point. I played Atelier. I did the review for that. One of those kind of games, man. You either like it or you don't. I thought it's interesting, but it's not really my bag. But it's good for what it is. And there was one. Ground Zeroes. Yeah, I finally got 100% in that. That's what I did all weekend. Just got 100% in that. It's a great game, man. I may actually go back and get 100% on the PS3 version because that's the code Konami sent me before I bought myself the PS4 version. That's just how obsessed with Metal Gear I am. I go nuts with this stuff. And that's all I've been playing. So that's pretty much it. All right. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Remember to follow us on, see if I got this right, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff. SoundCloud, iTunes, YouTube. All under DualShockers. Follow us. Thank you for watching and listening. This week I was joined by Ryan Meisler.
Being on the ShockCast is like taking a shot to the nuts.
Diana Laura.
Have a good night. Something clever.
And Mr. George Jimenez.
Don't forget, George loves you.
All right, guys. See you next week. Peace out.
Bye.